feel playing is much more easier than training.
Girl from Guntur becoming world number 5, that too in chess.
My longest game, I would say, like I played for 7 to 8 hours, not just once but many times I played. Very worried, like before the marriage, how I would, like, it's an arranged marriage.
And today, on this episode of Say What on Clapboard, I have somebody I absolutely adore, and she deserves all the attention she gets because she represents a sport which is not too common for us girls in our country. Actually, she is the second female chess grandmaster of India, has been world number 5, has won bronze medals, 3 of them in a world championship. And I think everybody needs to know more about her. And she's a lovely, bubbly, vibrant young lady, if I can call her that. Harika Dronawali is here with me. Harika, hi. Thank you for joining me.
Hi Manasa, thanks for such a lovely intro. It's very sweet.
I remember first time I interviewed you some 3 years ago, I chased you. I was like, oh my God, there is a chess grandmaster right here in Hyderabad. I need her on my show.
Yeah, I remember. It was a lovely chat, and I don't know, like, how time just flew like so fast.
That was your first radio interview, by the way.
Yeah, true.
So much has changed. The lockdown. What does a chess grandmaster do during the lockdown? How was it for you?
Yeah, I mean, so much changed. I think the whole perspective changed. Like today, I went to a gym like after 6 months, and it feels so good. Before that, we never understood the value of to do things as we want. So the smallest things are giving happiness now. And for me, especially, I think since 2004, I have been traveling like continuously. I never had a 6 months break without traveling, without playing chess on the board. So it's pretty different life completely altogether, and I'm kind of missing the traveling part.
You're missing the traveling part.
Yeah, definitely I'm missing the traveling part. I won't say chess because I'm playing online tournaments to an extent. So that part I'm fine, but I'm definitely missing traveling, playing on the board, and like just sitting at home is not something I'm used to. So it's kind of fine, like in a way that I got to spend time with my family for the first time, so freely, and like nothing to do, just to sit and enjoy life. This is the first time I got some time. So in that way, it is good, but also it's refreshing to start again, and I'm looking forward for things to get normal.
It's a fresh start.
Yeah, definitely fresh start.
How does one pick chess? I mean, it's so unconventional. We don't know too many people picking chess as a career. We know you started playing when you were very young, and it just became, I mean, how did you decide that this is my path, career path? This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
It happened in a way that like very organical. I didn't even plan anything. My parents started chess for my sister because they thought she would learn some patience, and that's where they started chess. And then I'm like a younger one in the family. I was curious why they are not teaching me and why they are teaching my sister. So I went and I just started like trying to understand how it works. And unknowingly I did pretty well, like in my couple of tournaments in the beginning, which I don't know, like even now it's confusing for me how I did it. It's just like it went well, maybe something came up naturally, and then
that's where genius.
So something like that happened, and my parents were like surprised too, and they thought that they should push me in this direction as I'm doing really well. And I didn't have any problems. I won't say I was sure that I wanted to do this, but at the same time I didn't have any complaints. It was like, okay, fine, I was playing, doing well, so it just continued. And after a while I played a national championship, like very in the beginning, like just in the beginning, just for experience and fun. We went for a national championship and I played really, really well there. Then I saw a girl winning a trophy in front of me, and that's where the moment it just clicked that I should one day win the trophy, and that's how it all started.
Oh, You make it sound so simple. You make it sound so simple. A girl from Guntur becoming world number 5, that too in chess. You know, tell me what was the training like? You know, to become a chess grandmaster. And what were the challenges while you were growing up? Because chess became your life at a very young age.
So, I mean, I don't know. I never faced any challenges, or at least I never saw anything that way. For me, it's like, okay, I was working hard. It was also natural for me. I never complained because I always like when my family is happy on what I'm doing. So I was very happy with all the attention I was getting. I was playing well, and okay, only part is that it was little difficult for me to understand why all the other kids are playing around. I could even hear voices like, after school they would come and run and play. And I would be sitting in the training room like for hours, like from morning 6:30 to evening 4. My trainer used to be there. And I always used to be there on the board and working. Only that was little bit hard for me to understand at that age, that why I was doing that at that point of time. But other than that, like I had very amazing, like supportive family, my coach. So they never let me know any other distractions or maybe any other problems other than just playing good chess. So I would say the major issue I had was that I was leading a different life than all other kids or all other like my classmates or other people. So that was something, it took some time for me to adjust and understand that I'm doing it for myself. I'm doing it for my own good, and that I should accept it. So that was the hard part. I would say, like, for example, there were days when I used to pray to God that I hope my coach, like, that doesn't come that day, and I would offer coconut, nariyal and all. So there were days I still remember how I used to pray literally that one day I would get break. So I remember all those, and like I feel very funny, and maybe all that is worth it because of that
Yeah.
I'm here wherever I am.
Exactly, exactly. But I remember having a chat with you about you traveling all on your own and trying to, struggle and get the expenses covered for traveling when you started out. But those are beautiful stories, right?
Yeah, like my dad never let me know any of the financial, like how he support, nothing. I knew nothing about it. After a couple of years when I won my silver medal, like world championship, maybe after 10 years of it, I got to know that my dad just sold off a property because we were like four of us. I don't know still like why we went, four of us went to Spain trip, which was pretty expensive in 2000. Like they all were excited that I'm playing for India, and they wanted to come and support me and be with me. So like my coach, my dad, my mom, all of them came with me. And my dad sold a property, and he just took the decision, like on his own, just out of happiness, that I'm playing for India, which is very sweet. I think in that like particular point, it was very important for me to get that kind of support. So later on, when I got to understand like how much my dad is spending on me, I like literally made sure I didn't want to spend so much money on, like on this my dad's hard earned money. So I tried to save it in a way that I told them I would go alone. I would travel alone whenever it's not really needed, like when it's like open tournament or not, something not very important. So I took this decision on my own. I like, I was very firm on this decision that I'll travel alone, that which can save the expenses, and I can make two trips. So instead of like
Yeah.
two people, like when we go two people, I can cut down it the budget. So this was my firm decision which I took, and I'm very happy about it because I learned like many things in this traveling experiences. And like I travel alone most of the time, and for very important tournaments I used to take someone with me, like my grandmother or mother or father. Earlier, it was more like mother and father. Later on, I realized that I could see their tensed faces whenever I'm playing a tournament. So then I took this again another decision that I would take my grandmom, because she wouldn't understand that much as my parents, and maybe like I couldn't even see much tension on her face. All she wanted to do is help me, cook for me, like very sweet support. And I felt it was easier for me to handle things and not too emotional in this way. So that was the second decision which I was very firm on, that I would take my grandmother with me. so that I can, like, I don't need to get, like, I get to see the tensed faces. And these were some decisions which I took on my own at very early age. And I think it worked out well. Like, I learned many things in traveling alone. I got very good support whenever I'm needed, whenever some serious tournament has taken place. So it went on to some extent, like, we were trying to adjust to circumstances.
I know, I can see that. I can see how much you've grown, the journey that you've had. But tell me, how does one prep for chess? What's the training like? What's your day like? Because we know how cricketers train, we know how footballers train. How does a grandmaster train? Are you always playing chess with someone, or is that physical training involved? What's that like?
Like, for me, I feel playing is much more easier than training, because playing is like, okay, just you play, you think, and you play on the board, which is very natural. This is what we have been doing for years. But training is much more harder. You have to push your brain to extent, like, where new strategies come up, new moves will come up. You have to push your brain, and you won't even have results immediately. The results might, like, you won't even know what knowledge you have taken, what knowledge your brain has taken. Like, if it's a body, you will understand, there will be certain changes after you're exercising, or you pushing in this way, and you can see the results. But brain, it is nothing like that. You just keep working and working on, like, different kinds of strategies, different kinds of tactics, and there are, like, thousands of moves which you have to memorize, and you keep doing this, and you don't even know when, like, when exactly this can be helpful. You won't even see the result immediately. It will take some time for the results to come on the board when you show some good results continuously. So this is like ongoing work forever. And there is no end to it. You can always gain as much knowledge as possible. So it's just that you have to keep going, keep working.
How long do you do this for every day if there is no tournament happening?
See, for me, because I have been used to working on chess and like a scheduled life, it's not easy for me to not do it at all. Even if I stay there, like, without doing for 2-3 days, I realize I'm wasting so much of my time in my life, and I just start working. So it's like when there is no other distraction, I would like try to work for 6-7 hours. But if I have some other works, like something else going on, so then I will at least try to do 2 to 3 hours of time, like, as much as possible, to just study every day. But definitely I try to make sure, even if there is a tournament or not, to work on this direction.
And I want to tell all my viewers this, that, if they think all chess grandmasters do not physically train, that's wrong. I know Harika trains very hard physically as well.
Yeah, I mean, there is this misconception that just a brain game doesn't need all this physical fitness, but it is also very important for us, especially when we play tournaments, like, where there are 9 games, 11 games. So especially like some 12 days continuously you play at a stretch, and one day you might play 7 hours in like continuously. So they, like, by the end of the tournament, you have to be as fit as when you start. So definitely we need, like, a physical fitness is really, really important for us. And I try to do as much as I can. But this is a very important factor in chess also.
Yeah, I want people to know that. And another thing, now I want to come to the World Championship, your first World Championship. Tell us about it, please. I mean, going that far in chess, that's a great thing. That's a huge thing. That's a big thing.
So, I mean, in 2000, I played my first World Championship under 10. And I got a silver medal. We were very it was like a very tough tense situation until the end, and I missed it in like half a point or something. So we were very disappointed with it. I remember we all were crying that I couldn't win the gold. Let's say in like 50 or 60 people, like, only 3 members got medals for India, and I was one of them, but we were not happy with it. We were crying that we couldn't win the gold. So it became a like, what to say, passion that we have to win the world championship at any cost. So then every year it was happening like this. 2001 again it happened that I got silver medal. Again I missed in a crucial game. And it's like I could figure it out that it's not just about chess, it was also mentally how much pressure I could take. So it's like
Right.
until then I was very like in a secured zone of my parents and everything. I don't know what stress is. So then I realized what stress is, you know, what it can do, what, how, like in crucial games it can pressurize you, it can make you not
Yeah.
to be at your best. So I realized, then I started figuring it out, like, you know, mentally how I should handle things. So that was the
Right.
experience I kept like getting with my losses, I would say. So then
Right.
in 2004, after like couple of silver and bronze medals, my first world championship title was in 2004 under 14, where I already got lot of experience. I even played my chess Olympiad, my first Olympiad at the age of 13. I participated in the senior section of Olympiad, which is very big at that time. After
Yeah.
that, immediately I went to World Championship because it's like I have to crack the gold medal at any cost. And then I also, with the experience of how to tackle the pressure and everything, I learned all by myself, all by my failures, and I won my first World Under 14 Championship in 2004.
Wow. Wow. And I was watching your TED talk, and I remember you telling that the stress was getting to me too much. I would go on the terrace, and there were times when I just wanted to jump off. The stress was so much. And look at you, all bubbly and energetic today, and so confident. How
Yeah.
did you deal with that?
See, like I think at that age you won't understand many things. You won't
Yeah.
understand like many small things. You would have your own imagination in your head, like, you know, something else is going. You would feel that like, at least for me it was like, okay, if I lose, my parents will be very upset, and like, you know, I have to see their faces, they will be disappointed with me. My coach is working so hard for me, and like all these things, like it's not like someone is you know forcing me to win or something. No one was even scolding me, but it was all in
Right.
my head going around that I cannot upset, like, you know, my parents. They're doing so much for me, and this is where
Right.
all the stress started triggering. I didn't
Right.
understand like many things, that it is okay to lose, it is fine to lose, and it is you can still go on. For me, in my head, it's like always I have to win. And
Mm.
I couldn't even, okay, I was very young, I couldn't even share this, like, you know, I couldn't even tell my parents, okay, enough, I'm getting too much on my brain and it's like too much stress. I was like very calm, obedient girl, like, you know, trying to make them happy all the time. So for me it was hard to cope up the losses, and like to understand that it is okay. So it
Right.
like, there were times, like I would say, this is, I pointed this point because it was very funny for me. Now it's very funny, why did I even think, like I was like 8 or 9 and I played under 15 championship. So my failure was like I couldn't win under 15 national title, and at that point I felt this is the failure, you know, biggest failure of my life. This is like a very young mind not understanding what is going on. So that
Yeah.
was the time when I felt, oh my God, this is the end of the world. Like I couldn't win this title, you know, all are upset, all are disappointed. What can I do? You know, I was like, these kind of thoughts were coming, and that is the reason, like at some point I was like, oh, I think this is the end of my world and I should jump off this building. Then I realized, like, you know, this is too much. Playing chess is easier. Let me go back and play chess and win the next tournament. So for young minds, like there could be many kids like this who might have this kind of thinking that this is like the biggest failure you could get. But for them to understand, I try to, you know, use my experiences to tell to people on how these are normal for everyone and how to tackle it. At least maybe if one person can be, you know,
Yeah.
uh, impactful, like with my experience, that would be you know, greatest thing I
Fantastic.
could do. Yeah,
Of
so
course,
that's
that
why
would be fantastic.
I always try to share my experiences and emotions, how I had and how the
Yeah.
stress took on me and how I handled it and how I realized how I became stronger mentally, bit by bit and bit by of my experiences. So I try always to be vocal about all this so that some people can use my experiences.
Of course they will. You set such a great example. Now, how did your life change after your first World Championship medal? I mean, what was it like? Did you get more support? Did you get more recognition? Did anything change at all in life after your first World Championship?
It's like I thought it would change my world. I thought, that is the highest thing I can win, and like, something drastic will happen. But actually, it's the same. Not much of a change, just the self-satisfaction that I won a world championship. So not too much of a change, I would say. But it also gave me extra motivation to win, further. That yes, I
Yeah.
achieved it, and now I can, have higher goals. So that
Yeah.
way, my whole maybe thinking changed, my whole aim changed, but I won't say it changed any of my life drastically. Maybe because I didn't realize that youth world championships are not as much seen as the main world championship. But at that time,
Yeah.
as a kid, for me, that is the biggest achievement. So
Yeah.
like I was very happy in my own way. I didn't even bother who is seeing me or who didn't see me. Like now you will have all these thoughts, that how you're winning something very big. But at that time, all it mattered to me is to win the world championship, and I was pretty happy about it. And I would say that there is not much change, and it just went on further and further ambitions.
Yeah, you keep it simple. I know you're so sorted and you're so simple. But tell me, which has been the longest game that you played, and for how long did it go on?
My longest game, I would say, like I played for 7 to 8 hours, not just once, but many times I played. So, like in many of the tournaments, sometimes I play 7, 8 hours in a row. I come back, like I have to sleep off, and again next day I would have a game. So there were times like that. I won't say just one. I have played like many tournaments and many games because I'm really a solid player. For me, it's like sometimes it takes hours and hours either to defend or to win. So I played like many tournaments when I like some 6 to 7 hours in a row, maybe 3 to 4 games in a row or something like this. So it's very normal for me.
No, for us, we cannot think for more than 7 minutes. Forget 7 to 8 hours of thinking. My God, you guys have got some physical and mental strength going there. I have to tell you. But tell me this, I want to break some major myths about chess and chess grandmasters. What is the most common myth that you hear, about your game or about a player, chess player? What is it, and what do you want to correct people about?
There is always a good myth, I would say, for us that chess players or grandmaster, they're very intelligent, very very smart, how like their brains are some wonders or something. But it's nothing like that. We are very normal people. We are just good at one subject, which is chess, and other things we might not be as good as that. And I would say, like in couple of like instances, I would forget many things. Like my whole concentration would be at chess. I would even forget things like where I kept something. And my husband like jokes around that actually, like, are you a grandma? Maybe I should have played. I would have been better than you. you you don't remember smallest things. So this is a myth that they're smart in every which way. It's like it's just we are good in one subject, which is chess.
So we always thought they have this photographic memory, they're good with numbers and all of that.
Yeah, might be, but it depends. Like when you involve your brain in something like so deeply, sometimes you might not remember all these things. You might not, or maybe your brain might not register these smallest things. So you might forget the small things, but you will remember the biggest. Like if I'm playing a chess game, I would remember thousands of hundreds of moves to play. But maybe I would remember, like I would not remember the smallest thing where I kept my car key or something at my house. So there is a difference. Like if we really want, we might use it. We might use our memory. We might use our brain. But like in a daily life, it won't change drastically. It's just like we have to concentrate if we really want to remember.
I know something about you, that you travel, your constant travel companion. I know this secret. Your constant travel companion is not your husband, not your family, but your cooker, your rice cooker.
Yeah. True.
So is this because you wanted some Indian food always around you or what? I mean, travel with your rice cooker everywhere.
It's like, yeah, I haven't been used to eat like outside for so long. Especially our tournaments are like 10 to 12 days long, and I don't prefer to eat like hotel food for so long. I don't feel comfortable. So that's when my parents, my mom used to come and cook for me, my grandmother used to come and cook for me. So I got used to it. Maybe if I've seen world in like a normal way that I have to eat, maybe I would have got used to it. But they never let me get that situation. So I got used to it, and later on I figured it out that when I was traveling alone I can still cook. So I would finish my game, quickly come back, and I would cook. Like I would watch some movie or listen to music, and I would cook for myself for 2 times, like the next day lunch and dinner. So I would cook for 2 meals, and save my food for myself and eat happily and go for the round. So this is like my daily routine, like to practice, play chess, and come back and cook for myself, have food. Food is very important factor for me. Like
Right.
emotionally also, I feel really happy when I eat like the meal I like. So definitely I didn't mind to take that extra effort to cook my own meal.
Same here. Food makes me very happy. I'm very emotional about food. But what do grandmasters do? Yeah, you go to places like Monaco, all exotic places, Paris, and where all. So when you're done playing, is there any social scene happening? Do you guys step out and have fun? And what's it like after you're done with your playing?
So like we definitely get time after the games. We get time in between also. We have some, if it's like very important tournaments, we get 1 to 2 rest days also. We definitely get time. But I won't say like before or in between the tournament we would be like enjoying so much the nature and others. Like it's like, okay, you're concentrating on your tournament, and that is your main focus. And we travel so much that one place or something won't excite us so much that we would just go wandering around. But definitely it's I would say that is a brilliant part of our routine, to travel around to beautiful places. But maybe we won't enjoy it as much as tourists do, because we're
Yeah.
into something else like much more important going on. But once the tournament is over, if we get like 1 to 2 days, then like we would enjoy to the fullest. But definitely it all depends on how, at least for me, I won't say for everyone, but for me it depends on the result. If result is good, like I mean, I would enjoy any place everywhere. But if the result is bad, like even in the best places, there were times I would just sit in the room and sulk in. So it all depends on how the tournament goes also. But yes,
Of
I've
course.
seen like beautiful places because of chess, and I'm really, really happy about it.
So cool. So cool. You once said in one of your interviews that I don't study books, I study life.
So, I mean, I won't say like, it's a good thing to not have much knowledge. I would never say that. But I would also not say that, I would not accept that, just by studying, like, or getting degrees, it's like you're educated. For me, I
Right.
feel like you can be educated in many ways. I can learn from people. I can learn from many,
Right.
like, there were times when I used to travel alone, sit in the corner and just observe people, observe
Right.
in also I would get into some like many circumstances, like let's say I was in Moscow all alone at 4 a.m. And there were like, there used to be many stories that how it's not good, it's dangerous and all this. I traveled alone at 4 a.m. in a metro. So there were many things which I learned in life. Like, I've seen people, I've met like very nice people who were very helpful. There were times when I had to be careful. So I think I learned like, how to handle my own life in a practical way. So
Right.
I would say like the languages I need, I work on. Like when I want to learn something, I really like the subject. I try to, make notes for myself, like how I used to do when I was in school. I still do it. I make notes for myself. I read. I try to learn. And there is nothing wrong to accept that I don't know something. And I don't feel shy also. Okay, if I don't know that subject. If I want to, I will definitely try and learn it. If I don't, okay, I would accept that I don't know it. So I would say chess is also one kind of education, just a different subject from what we do in school. It also teaches you discipline. It also teaches you many other things which a school can do. So
True.
for me, it's not the degree, but the general knowledge, or which I would miss. Maybe I don't know many things in knowledge wise, but I learned in life like how to handle like difficult situation, how to handle many things while traveling, how to take care of what I need and all these things in a very general practical life. So that's why I say like I learned from practicality than books.
That's more important. Books can be read anytime, anywhere. You know, this
Yeah.
is what we want. Hire me as your assistant. I'll happily work for you. You know, and travel alongside with you. No, but I forgot to ask you, what has been the shortest time of your game? You know, what has been the quickest to win?
Win is difficult to remember because quickest is like maybe half an hour to 1 hour. I don't even remember when it was, because now we play such serious tournaments. I don't even remember when I won my quickest game. Like it's been long time. But draws, yes, I had like a couple of very quick draws in like 20 minutes or something like this.
Ah,
So yeah.
I have a quick game for you, okay? I will give you pieces. You have to say which Bollywood actor comes to your mind when I take this piece's name. Is that okay?
I'll try. I mean, I never did it. I'll definitely try. I'm like, I
Tollywood
like
or
movies, but
Bollywood? Tollywood or Bollywood, okay? Anyone. So, King, who comes to your mind?
King, Chiranjeev Garu.
Oh, Knight.
Knight is horse. It's difficult. I never saw in such way, like chess pieces and like movies. It's like completely different. For me,
I know,
it's
that's why it's interesting.
no, I can't get anything
For
in
me,
mind. Like
Knight is always Hrithik Roshan for some reason.
I don't know why. I saw in some interview someone said that, but I don't know. Like I can't find any resemblance. Maybe.
I'm meeting you for the first time after you got married virtually. Say, I missed your wedding. I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
You know, but so happy. What a fairy tale wedding you had. You look lovely, and the pictures were like straight out of the movies. You know, it looked beautiful. Tell me, how has life changed? I mean, has it affected your career? Has it helped it? You know, is your husband even bigger a support than your parents? What is it like now? What's happening after marriage?
To be frank, I was like very worried, like before the marriage, how I would like it's an arranged marriage, and I
Right.
always I mean, heard from people that after marriage it's very difficult to concentrate on the career, and like you might not have as much time as before, and all this. So I was like really worried about it, but I wanted to make sure that I handle both well. And
Right.
luckily, like I got a partner who is also pretty much like very understanding, and also maybe more than understanding, that he's more like more concerned about my career more than me. So
Oh,
in that way I'm lucky. Like I would always say touch wood. I mean, I'm very very thankful for what he did for me after the marriage, because I mean, there were times I would not even have a minute. Even after like 1 month of marriage, I had world championship, and I used to
right.
sit day and night and work for, because it's been a while, like I didn't work for a while due to my marriage. So I used to sit for like until maybe midnight and work on chess, and I didn't even have much time at home. And immediately after my marriage, in 10 days or something, I went to chess olympiad. So there were times I used to feel guilty, like if I'm not managing both. But he was always there, very helpful, very very understanding. And he encourages me more than like my parents also now. Like it's like at some point they also left it, that now she knows what she's doing, let her do. And they just see the results and they're happy with it. Like, but now he's like, okay, now what to do, now what you will play next, now how to do, now today you prepare. So he's and one thing I really liked is I asked him after marriage at some point, why you always speak about my career, your career is also very important, and we
Right.
have to handle both. He's like, maximum I can earn money, but you are more important for the country, and
Ah,
that's why your career is more important. So these are the words I would always remember and I'm very thankful for however he's supporting me, and like the respect he's giving me. So definitely now I have double the responsibility, because my in-laws are also very sweet and understanding. All they want me is to do well. So I would say I have more time than before my marriage now to just work on chess without any distractions. So it's that way it didn't change much, and I think I'm much more surrounded by more two families now, double the responsibility to just play chess and win some medals for the country. So that way it didn't definitely it didn't change.
Your husband has been daring enough to play chess with you at some point in time? I mean, does he ever just play for fun?
No, he doesn't like to lose, so he doesn't play with me. So he finds people like who like let's say kids like my niece, my nephew. He plays with them, he wins with them, and he's happy that he knows chess. So like he just plays, he just understand how it moves. But he tried, like when I started this tournaments and all, he used to see on this apps and get worried about the games. Then later on he came to a conclusion that it's better not to see the games and just to see the
Yes.
results. It's better for his health. So now he just sees the results. And sometimes I even say that don't even speak with me about my chess, because when I lose or something, when I'm upset, he's not a sports person, right? He wouldn't understand like how to handle a sports player. He would be upset. Oh crap, how did you lose today? So this will not help me. So there were times I used to say, don't speak with me about chess, but speak anything else. So that's how we handle. Like now we came to a conclusion that he won't see much, but after the result I would tell him myself if something goes good. If something goes bad, we don't even speak about it. So that's the pact now we are in. Like that's how we're working on it now.
That is so cute. But watching a chess tournament is an experience, because half the time we don't even keep up when we are watching with your minds, with your moves, right? For an audience who doesn't play too much chess, it's not easy.
Yeah, but because now all the like websites have these engines which shows like engine going up and down, the evaluations go up and down. So for normal people, they just see when they don't know chess, they just see the engine evaluation. They don't understand the player's point of view. So they just see those and they get heart attacks that if something is going wrong. And if we are winning and if we miss it, they would feel that that it's the easiest thing we missed. So it's like a different conclusion when you just see with engines. And yeah, and even if we are like the best chess players, still you won't understand each other's mind fully. So it's like
Yeah,
not so easy to see what is going on a player's mind and how much they're calculating. So it's
true.
not definitely easy to do that. So definitely for normal audience who don't know chess much, it's much difficult to
I
understand.
know, I've tried. But I want to ask you this, you've been world number 5. That's a title. I mean, every morning, if I were to be world number 5, I would get up every morning and I'm world number 5. I would tell myself. It's a very big thing. But chess, is not so, the visibility is a little less, because it's maybe not like a cricket, or maybe not like some other sport. So does it at some point, in some point of time, does it bother you that okay, the visibility is a little less, and given the fact that you've achieved so much, does it get to you at any time?
To be frank, it definitely bothers. It definitely bothers that you work so hard, you give day and night to it, and like the visibility is pretty less. Definitely it bothers. But I'm always a person who believes that if you want a change, you have to try and do by yourself. And
Right.
I always believe that there will be good time for every sport. Let's say a badminton, how much it is the stage it is in now is not there before. So there will be
Yeah.
always a good and bad time for a sport. So I
Right.
always believe in that there will be a game changer time for chess, and definitely we will get our good time for our sport. And so I just try to see in a way that I should try to do as much as I can to make my
Right.
sport more visible for people. That's what I think. Like that's how I see this. And
Right.
yes, even when I feel like little disappointed about the visibility, this is how I tell myself that it's in like, it's in my hands, and I just have to try and do my best for my sport to be get more visibility. But also I don't blame audience, because it's like very complicated game. You won't understand what is happening unless like the at least some extent about chess. Even when you still
Right.
know some extent, still there are so much, like there is so much
True.
that you won't understand. So definitely it's because it's very complicated game, it's not easy to follow. And
True.
also there will be long days, long games, so it's not really I would say as interesting as to see a physical sport. At least you will understand what is happening immediately. So I won't
True.
blame anyone, but it can also be game changer when people start understanding how it works. So I
True.
believe that, like, let's say in this lockdown, more people are getting into chess. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely, like there would be a time when they understand the how it works, and they would give as much of love as other sports also. So I'm pretty sure that one day will come in that way. And I think this lockdown has been a trailer for it, that things are working well for chess.
True. No, but so many of you, be it Vishwanathan Anand, Humpy, you, Hari, all of you have been the front runners for us, torch bearers for us. It's so fantastic. But now I did mention this deliberately in the introduction because I wanted to bring it later. Padma Shri happened. That's another thing. And I remember you going to collect it with a little girl smile, that smile said it all, Harika. How happy you were. It's like Padma Shri. That's the title you have now. How does that feel?
Start like a sport or something, the whole point is to win medals for the country, so that is much bigger than anything. But why these awards are very important is people don't understand what you're doing, like regularly, even if you win a world championship, because the visibility is less for chess. They don't understand like what we are doing. So all they see is, like, even around me, like who are surrounded by me, like they just see that I'm going to every tournament, coming back, not like we win every tournament everywhere. So it's like maybe now when we are in such level, maybe thrice or something we win in a year. So it's like not too much of visibility. They don't understand how much we work day and night for it. So these are the awards which give us the recognition which we deserve, I would say. At least in this way people would understand in which way we are going and where we are. So these are the awards where even when people don't understand many things about sport, still they understand that we did something big in life, that we are there. So that's why I feel these are awards are really, really important to get more encouragement, to give up more time in your life, that you work even more harder to
Right.
achieve something bigger than this. So this is very important phase. I would say that I got Arjuna in 2008.
Yes.
And that time the like the social media is not there. Even the mindset also used to be like, when people used to call for interview, I would be wondering what to do next in next tournament, and I would like just concentrate on that. And just there were times I declined the live shows because like at that point just chess was important. So
Right.
there were so many things that changed now. So when I
Right.
got the award now, like more people could see that she won this Padma Shri. So maybe she's doing pretty well in chess. So that's why this
Right.
award is definitely very, very important in this way for me. But for my parents, it's like everything. Like it's like achievement forever. I would say for them it was more important than for me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was very happy that I could achieve that award for them. And to see their happiness is something I always felt grateful. So definitely that has been a game changer. And it didn't feel like I achieved something big. It felt like, okay, I came to a stage, now it's about to think about the next level. So it's
Right.
like this, there will be like in video game you have these levels, right? You cross it and then there won't be anything to lose, and you can just go up and up. So this is the level which I feel this award has given me this opportunity to that sit and say, okay, I achieved something in life, and next what to do. So this is kind of a relief. So definitely, I would say this has been a very special moment. And also a funny thing is, I always felt that, I got really late in winning the award. And
Right.
when I went to this Rashtrapati Bhavan, I went there, and I like there were so many people, like a grandmother's age, grandfather's age, who came. Like, we are having this meet and greet. We were speaking with each other. Then some people asked me very sweetly, so whom did you come for? Did you come to take award for your mother or father? Then I was like, no, I'm taking it for myself. I won it. And then I realized that actually maybe it's not as late as I thought, and maybe it's early also. So it's okay. Like, that's when I started feeling that maybe actually, I won early on. So this is one of the sweet moment I remember from this awards function.
So cute. So do you ever tell any of your relatives, maybe some kids, nieces, nephews, or cousins, sometimes when you're having like an argument playfully, it's like, hello, I'm Padma Shri. Does
I
it
don't
ever
tell this to I genuinely I don't tell this to anyone, because for me I feel that, like, people should know, and not we should not tell about ourselves by
happen?
but
Yes.
only with one person I say I'm Padma Shri, when my husband, like, to my husband, when he asks me something like, bring a cup of water, I'm like, I'm Padma Shri, don't tell me these things. So in a very
See, this is what
playful way. So this is
I,
where I
of
use
course.
my my award, like, I'm Padma Shri, what are you saying to me? So these are the things I use with my husband, but with anyone else I never said.
That is so cute. That is so cute. But before I wrap it up, I want to play a quick rapid fire round with you. Is that okay?
Sure, sure.
Okay, let's start this. Let's get to know Harika better. So, which is that one movie you've seen zillion times, Harika?
Chak De.
Oh, all
There,
inspiration and motivation.
yeah, I mean, there are so many movies that I watch, but that movie is something, because like almost like a first sport movie I've seen, like, which is so impactful. So I
Right.
remember the time I used to cry in like, I literally went to the theater, I saw the movie, and I used to cry. And that happened after it, like in Dangal. Also similar way, like
Oh.
I cried in the theater, like I was like sitting and crying. I took like napkins, and like I sat down, and I used to like cry watching it. So these are the movies which I really love.
More sport dramas for Harika.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
song that you listen to a lot.
One song in Iqbal, there is a song Ashaye.
Asha. Yes.
Yeah, so
It's
that
very
is the song
inspiring.
I and also this Sattar Minute in Check Day. So
Ah,
I remember, there were times when I used to before going to a game, I used to listen to this and go. So it's like, this is the time you have, and I try to motivate myself with it. So these are
so
two.
cool. One line that you're tired of hearing because you're a chess, grandmaster. People keeps using this line, and you're like, okay, this is too much.
uh as I said before, they feel, chess grandmaster, your IQ must be so high, you are like, you must be so smart, which is like, I feel like, okay, I won't open my mouth, it's better. Let them keep this opinion.
Who has been the toughest opponent?
Toughest, okay, I never like thought about a person like toughest, because I always believe I'm strong. So I won't say toughest opponent, but okay, let's say like world number one now, Hui Fan.
Okay,
So I would
okay.
say, like, yeah.
See, I don't know many chess players, but I'm still asking.
Yeah, understand. But I'm just saying, in general, I don't say one person in particular that I feel that tough, because for me, I
Yeah,
always see that I am my own opponent. Like, I just have to sit there and be
yeah,
calm and play by myself, then it's good day. So I don't pinpoint one person as a very tough opponent.
yeah. What is that one thing Harika Dronawali should stop doing? One, habit she should get rid of.
To be emotional, like on small things. Like, there were
Uh,
times when I see a movie and cry as if, it is happening to me. And I wonder, what
yeah,
am I doing? I just, like, I'm too emotional in many things, which is good and bad in both ways. So like it depends. So better to be much stronger than what I am.
What's your favorite cheat food?
Favorite street food? Cheat food?
Cheat food. Cheat meal.
Any Indian sweets like carrot halwa, like laddus, and like anything, like all these like sweets I love, and also spicy like pakodi, bhaji, and all this I enjoy.
You are in trouble.
I am always in trouble. I try to, as I told before, I really love food, and I always have to be really, really strong not to eat when I am in diet.
Okay, one most memorable place you visited while playing chess.
Most memorable, there are few, like Iceland is there, but one like recently which I visited, which I feel like, really amazed is Monte Carlo, Monaco. So it has been amazing, and I still have these memories fresh in my mind.
What is that one character trait you had to give up? Like you had to forget all about doing it or being it once you started playing chess seriously, professionally?
The character, you mean before, like once I started taking it up professionally, like what I did?
What did you give up, completely once you started playing chess?
I started playing chess even before I realized anything in life. So I really don't know. It just went on like I don't even remember what I gave up. Okay, maybe I would say I gave up like enjoying time with other kids. Like that is what I gave up. Like I just like it is not a character trait, but that is the only thing I remember what I gave up. Other than that, I really didn't like it. It was like my usual habit from the time I understood what is happening around me.
No, but your journey is so interesting and you're so lovely. Every time I have spoken to you, I've learned something new. And I've learned so much about chess because of you, doing research on you every time I've interviewed you. It's been a pleasure knowing you, and I hope this whole silsila of interviews, it will go on from radio to YouTube to digital space to wherever it takes us, because talking to you is such a pleasure, Harika. I want to wish you all the very best with whatever you choose to do. Thank you so much for doing this for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mansa. Thank you for such lovely words. And definitely there is improvement since we spoke last time. And I hope next time it will be much bigger. So definitely I'll keep trying. And it was lovely chatting with you. I don't feel it as interview, and it was always like a friendly chat. So I enjoyed too. So definitely it's my pleasure.
From this, you got a Padma Shri. From this to next, there is going to be something bigger lined up. I know it.
Yeah, definitely.
Comment, share, like, subscribe to Clapboard Production.
Hi, this is Vijay Devarkonda. Please subscribe to Clapboard Production.
Hi guys, this is Ed Visesh. Subscribe to Clapboard.
Hi everybody, this is Rashmi. Subscribe to Clapboard.
Hello everyone, I'm Nandini. Please subscribe to Clapboard.
Don't forget to subscribe to Clapboard.
This is Vishwa. Subscribe to Clapboard.
Please to subscribe on Clapboard.
This is Nitya Shetty. Subscribe to Clapboard.
Please subscribe to Clapboard.
Hello, this is Sandeep Reddy Vanga. Please subscribe Clapboard.
Please subscribe Clapboard.
Hi guys, name me Hemachandra. Please do subscribe to Clapboard.
Hi, I'm writer Prasanna Kumar Bezwada. Please subscribe to Clapboard Productions.
Subscribe to Clapboard Productions.